Hello everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this project we are going to create a Magic 8-Ball simulator. So Magic 8-Ball, if you've never played one of those, it's basically the 8-ball, you shake it, you ask a question and you shake it and then you turn it over and it gives you a response. They're pretty fun. We're going to make one of those today in Python. So let's talk through what we need. First, we are going to need to randomly pull a piece of data out of an array, right? So in order to do that, we're going to need the random class. So let's go ahead and import random. And we'll put some comments in here explaining who we are and what this project is. Cool. All right. Next, we're going to want to create an array with all of the possible responses that our Magic 8-Ball will be using. So let's just call this array responses. It's a pretty easy name for this array. And let's start writing in our responses. We'll say yes, no, and we'll go with maybe. Now, you can write as many responses as you want. I'm just going to keep with these three right now. And we can add as many as we want later. And I'm going to show you how we're basically going to make this code responsive, meaning if we add more indexes to this array, it's not going to break our code. We'll still be able to use it properly. And all we have to do is just add more data to the array later on. All right, so our array is finished. Next, we need to start our random number generator. So we need to call random.seed. Then we're going to store a random number in an index or in a variable called index. What we're going to do here is we are going to grab a random integer, and that integer is going to match up with an index number in our array. So if we remember back to the lesson, arrays, each piece of data in an array is in what's called an index. And indexes start at 0. So this is index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2. So what we need to do is we need to find a random number between 0, 1, and 2, one of those three, and we need to store that in a variable called index. So index.random.randint. Now, the bottom number of our range is going to be 0 because our array starts at index 0. The top number of our array could be 2 if we wanted it, and that would work for this case. But the problem is if we add more data to the array, it'll ignore all of that data. So we want to be responsive and make it so that we can add data without having to update our top number in our range. So we can use the length function to do that for us. So let's say len, and then the argument we're going to give it is the name of the array, responses. Now, one more thing we have to do is this length function will return the total number of indexes. But if you remember, our indexes start at 0. So we have to actually subtract 1 from this in order to get the correct response. So -1. So len responses -1. Now that'll encapsulate our whole array, and we'll be able to pick any one of those random indexes. Next, all we have to do is let's print a message to our user telling them that they are playing our Magic 8-Ball game. And then let's get our input. Now notice I'm not storing their response in a variable. The reason why is because we don't really care what question they're asking. We're not actually responding to their question. We're just giving them the illusion that their questions matter, just like using a regular 8-ball, right? So we don't actually need to store this data in an array. Ask your question. And then we will print responses. Now, the response that we want is going to be whatever stored in this index variable. So we can just put index. And that's going to grab this random number that's stored in the index, and it will pull a random piece of data out of this array. Let's go ahead and run it and see if that works. Okay, ask your question. Will I ever be rich? Yes. Hey, so it works. So my Magic 8 Ball will allow me to ask a question and then it will give me a random response. Now, here's some things that you can do to maybe modify this and make it better. Obviously, you can add as many responses as you want. Add a bunch more of these so that your 8 Ball feels like it's more random and you're getting more varied responses. Other things you can do is maybe make this a little bit prettier, make the user interface look nicer. You can add some weights to make it look like it's actually thinking. But yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do to make this better. But this core part of the project is what you need. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.